Welcome to our webinar. This afternoon, I just want to introduce some of the participants or speakers from the team. Ferry Hawley, our architect, principal architect. We will have Vivek and also Brian as well, who are our technical lead or engineers. That's Vivek Mavudeli and also Brian Tuwiski. Welcome to the call. And of course, my name is Hala Talanoa. I just want to cover some of the key highlights in this 1.25 release. The focus has always been around some of the key pillars that we have with regards to traceability, which is first and foremost. I just wanted to get the cursor there up and going. That's good. Traceability is always an important driver or principle of Vansah, as you will see that to be able to piece your information together from requirements to test to production. The theme of traceability is one of the key pillars behind Vansah. So in this release, we'll demonstrate that shortly on how the traceability has been improved, has been enhanced to provide that efficient visibility across your artifacts in Jira. Reusability is also an important pillar of Vansah, and so we'll talk about some of the improved filtering around your test cases, and we will look at that from a Vansah board perspective, but also when you're in a particular issue stream. Also, the experience. This release here has also focused on the experience, the UX side of things, and improving your interactions in your daily usage of Vansah. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and feel free to ask questions on some of the demonstrations that we will show shortly. Just to call out some of the key features as part of 1.2.5, these are some of the items that we've canvassed to showcase this afternoon around the ability to interact with your Vansah board, as you will see shortly. When you go onto your Vansah board, you will be able to have access to different pieces of information, and so you will have the ability to move them as appropriately as you would to make sense. At the end of the day, it's all about how you interact with Jira, Vansah, and what makes sense to you. So we'll talk a little bit about that, which is great. We'll also talk about the save filters. Again, this is around the whole principle of reusability and allowing yourself to create various filters to quickly get to your information, whether those filters is based on certain criteria, particular priority, particular test results. We will talk about how those save filters is being utilized both on the issue screen and also Vansah board. Traceability report. This is actually an exciting feature because the power behind understanding your data in Jira, so with regards to issues and requirements and stories, with how they link to your test artifacts, we will definitely be showcasing how that traceability report fetches those information, and quite excited to share some of the latest and greatest gadgets around traceability, which is available as well in 1.2.5. Well, also, this is a neat little feature here around the ability to create your test cases in other projects, or we refer to it as foreign projects. So you might be in a particular project that you're currently working on, and depending on how your teams are set up in Jira, you're able to have the ability to create different test artifacts to different projects, and you can access that. And there are many reasons why you would use those type of structure in your Jira. But I think the importance and the good thing about that is the flexibility that you have to be able to create a test case belonging to a foreign project from where you are at that point in time, which is really good. We'll also talk about the concept of being able to look at your linked issues, look at your test run issues and attachments from one place. As I said, one of the key principles of Vansah is traceability, the powerful traceability behind it all. And so we'll talk about a particular view, which is your Vansah board. You have the ability to drill down to your linked issues, your test run issues, and your attachments. So we'll get a chance to showcase that as a little use case in our webinar this afternoon. So that's what's happening around the latest release, key announcements, highlights, and key features. I want to proceed on to our exciting and upcoming release 1.2.12. And I want to bring in Freddie to speak about some of the key items that are being baked or being prepared, so to speak, into what's coming in 1.2. So welcome, Freddie, to the call. And Freddie, if you can just take a minute or two, or actually a little bit, I'll give you a little bit more time to speak about and share some of the good news that's coming through. Thanks, Freddie.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here for this webinar. And appreciate how sort of that intro. And so, with the upcoming release, it's definitely been cooked up for the last few months, to say the least. And so it's been a lot of work by the team and a lot of testing as well. But basically, what's been happening, I should say, is that we've been sort of it's been a transformation of our legacy APIs from where Vansah came from. It was an independent platform prior to it being a native app for Jira. So once the app was launched to the App Store, we reused most of the existing APIs, and that was as an interim solution. But now we have our open REST API platform, which is available for you to sort of access and see from api.vansah.com. So if you head over there, you'll be able to see all our APIs and what you can do. I might just sort of share I'm not sure if I can share my screen here quickly. All right, so on the api.vansah.com, you should be able to see all our APIs, and feel free to sort of access them and have a look at what each API can do for you. And at the end of the day, the whole point of doing that is because our new UI, our new user interface will be sort of now using these new APIs in the next release. But more importantly, because of our Connect program that we sort of Vansah Connect that we've been talking about, we're encouraging other solutions to be able to integrate with Vansah. So to do that, we've obviously needed to expose all of our functions and features to give everyone the ability to sort of integrate, and for us to also integrate with other solutions. So that's coming up in the next release. So basically, under api.vansah.com, you'll be able to sort of go through and sort of see what you can integrate with and what you can do with Vansah here. So it's been a lot of work by the team to sort of put this together, but it's come a long way from the beginning of the year. Yeah, so that's been basically the main changes of our Vansah Connect. So you can see from the work that's been done is the whole REST API, and really the key things for us is to allow the market to be able to sort of integrate with Vansah. So we've obviously exposed all those APIs there. But the key thing that I wanted to share here as well is our latest test automation integration. So the team is building APIs that can allow like tools like Selenium to now integrate with Vansah For Jira. So that's been a key success and changes that we've been implementing here. And obviously, as a result of that, the changes that we've been doing, it's now allowed us to implement a solution that is now for Confluence. So currently, up until now, which I'll share a demo very soon, that's obviously supporting you with Confluence as well as not just Jira. So we'll go through that quickly. And as Hala was saying, all the issue traceability gadgets that we've implemented, so what they look like, we'll go through them. So the other main advantage of our APIs is because what Jira is doing, it's going to be supporting data residency, meaning that it allows its customers to choose where they want their data to be stored. So with obviously customers right now, they've got limited locations where their data can be stored, specifically if you're using apps. So with the changes coming up in 2023, you as a customer, you'll be able to choose where you want your data to reside. So we're obviously, as a result of this new framework, our latest APIs, it will also allow us to support our customers to choose where they want their data to be stored. So that's some of the big changes we're doing. But the big thing as well is we're looking at improving our UI and definitely improving the UX of the application. Next there.
No, that's really good. Thank you, Freddie, for that. Look, I'm really excited about those upcoming releases, and we all look forward to some of these key features and benefits. We will all realize that. So thanks, Freddie, for that. I'll just move on to our showcase now, and we will now start to share some of the key features in here for 1.2.5. So some of you may have already been using it, which is great. But if you haven't done so or may not be aware of or haven't checked the release notes in Atlassian, we will take this opportunity now to showcase that. So we've prepared a few key features to showcase this afternoon. So let me just organize that piece now, and everybody can see my screen now. So what we'll do is we'll walk through some of the key features. Again, I'm just keeping an eye out on the chat. If you have any questions, please capture them down, and we'll definitely address that towards the end of our time together. So let me start off with the features around the ability to move column positions in your Vansah board. So everybody would be so familiar with Vansah board now. As you can see, you can quickly go into your project, and on the left menu bar here in Jira, you will see the Vansah menu, and this is what we refer to as the Vansah board. So this is where, as most of you may already be aware of, this is where you can keep and organize your test artifacts. Depending on how you run the dynamics within each of your team, you will set up your folders accordingly. But I want to just to showcase the ability to move columns as you see here in front of you. So if I was to choose the regression folder, and let me just zoom in a little bit more just to make sure you all can have a little bit better visual of my screen. So if I wanted to move a folder, it's simply just hovering your mouse on any of the columns that you see, left click, and then you can drag and drop. Okay, so that is a simple example of just organizing your columns so that makes sense to you. Something that makes sense to me won't be the same for the next person. So this is all about empowering you to set up your data so that you can easily interact, work, deliver, and participate as part of your team in terms of servicing your testing. Before I start talking about some of the other areas, the columns that you see in here on your board, if you notice the columns menu on the top right in here, you will also have the ability to reposition your columns using the columns dialog in here. So for example, if I was interested in including created by, and I would say, look, I really want to see, this is important for me that I see that on top of the board, I would move that as such. I'll click save, and now you can see that I've got created by column right up to the start of my board, right? And so this is a really neat feature where you're able to reposition your columns while you're still interacting with the board, but also you have the ability to do the same thing if you were here in your column saying, look, I really want to look at some of the Jira issues that we're linking. And so if you haven't seen this feature before, it's a really cool feature to allow you to also reposition and say, look, I want to bring assignee right to the top because it's important for me to know who is assigned these particular tests. And as you can see in here, while I'm here as well, you may have seen recently the ability to be able to change assignee right then and there, which is really useful for those who want to be to quickly sort of. So let me just try and demonstrate that as well. Easy as that, right? So what have I demonstrated here? The ability to reposition your columns directly on the board, but also achieve the same outcome through the column menu up here as I have demonstrated. And also just the quick actions. You know, it's all about quick actions these days. And you have the ability to fulfill that through the board as well. So that's a really neat feature. And again, the key benefit of this is the ability to organize your board to suit your particular context or your particular setup within your delivery team.
So that's probably a key thing just to mention as well, is as you organize your view there, as what you're trying to say with the columns, that's retained for you for your entire workspace session. So it's pretty key. So set it up the way you'd like to see
Absolutely.
and work and that will be maintained.
Absolutely, and that's a real thank you, Freddie, for calling that out. So if I wanted to restore the default columns by selection, if I was to say move out of that folder into a different folder or even move out to a different page on Jira, you come back to your Vansah board, it retains it knows your previous configuration, which is great. Okay, well, no more headaches to say, well, what have I done previously? So that's really, really great. So that's the ability to move, reposition your columns through the board and through the column dialog. The next item that I want to showcase in next is the ability to save filters. You know, so much we look at the board and there's so many data and information. Well, this is where filters come through, and the benefit of using filters is just going through this process of here and say, look, I really want to just to understand all the tests that's been completed. And so let's achieve that by coming into more option here right at the top. And you want to say, well, it's a result that you're interested in. And as I said, I want to understand what's completed. As you all know, and if you're familiar with the Vansah testing methodology in Jira, anything that's passed, failed, or marked as not applicable, they mean the test has completed, right? So I've selected 3 of my filters and I want to save that filter. So I can easily come into the save filter and say all completed test cases, right? So that's the name of my filter. I can just quickly copy that into here. You will notice that there's a chance for you to share this filter, public or private. As most of you will guess, private is accessible only by yourself. Public is accessible to everybody within your Jira project. So I'm going to make this public and I'll save it. Excellent. So what I've done now is that I've just created a filter. If I come in to check on that filter, let me just clean up some of these filters in here. And if I go to look at my filters, this is the new filter that I've just created. Notice that there's a crowd icon next to that filter. It just means that it's publicly accessible versus a single user, which is private. You also have the ability to mark this as a favorite, right? So if I just click on the star in here, it just basically that every time I come in to see my list of filters, it will always showcase at the top. And this is particularly beneficial when you do end up with a few filters, 10, 20, 30, depending on how you use them. Then you will mark them as favorites to go to those very quickly. So let's say, for example, I wanted to see all the completed test case. It's as simple as coming into your filters and left clicking on your desired filter. So as you can see from here, it's listed 22 test cases on the board marked as, remember the filter, pass, failed, or not applicable. Okay. If I was to remove that filter right now, it will then return every single test case that is available. So you can see that here are some test cases that are untested and so forth. So I just want to pause in there and again re-emphasize the importance of creating filters to help you get to your information quickly. And that's the key benefit of that. Now, the benefit doesn't just end there. It is also available in the issue screen. So I'm going to quickly go to the issue screen in here, but let me just, whilst we're here, just to showcase how we get to that very quickly. So if I just say I want to see all my Jira issues linked in here, again, you can see how quickly we can showcase that. Now I'm going to go to a linked Jira issue by just clicking on one of these links in here. Okay, if I click on the number in here, it'll take me to a new screen with all the 7 issues in there. Okay, for the purpose of demonstrating the filter, I'm just going to select a particular issue. This particular issue here, TD77. And as mentioned, I want to demonstrate how to create a filter. Exactly the same experience as we have seen on the board. I'll come into here and then I'll create the filter. Now, I'm going to just to have a look at this filter in here. So what I can do in here is I can reuse any of these filters or create my own in here. So I'm going to, just for the sake of demonstrating, I'm going to create a new filter in here. And I'm going to use this particular property called assignee. And I will search for all the test cases that's currently assigned to myself. Okay, as you can see, and I'm going to save that filter, and I'm going to call that my list of test cases. Okay, again, copy that again, and I'm going to leave this as private for this time. And as you can see, if I was just to remove the filters and then go back and recall my filter, my list of test cases, I should say, it will then bring the test cases that's assigned to myself. Simple as that. That is the save filters, accessible from the issue screen, but also from the Vansah board. I want to move on to demonstrate the next feature in here, which is obviously around the traceability report. There's a few items that I want to cover from a traceability perspective, and let me just create the context or a use case as to achieve this particular demonstration. I want to go to the dashboard first and foremost. This is a dashboard that I've created, and in this dashboard in here, I've created a few gadgets or Vansah gadgets to showcase and to demonstrate. So let me just go and click on edit. So if you were to configure each of the gadget, you will need to edit that Jira dashboard. And I'm going to go straight into the issue traceability summary, or in short, the ITS. The ITS has recently been released and it's available for use. This is quite a powerful gadget, in my opinion, because what it does, it provides you information to say, give me all the issues that I'm interested in, and I want to know what are the statuses of testing against those lists of issues. Let me set the scene in here. So if I was to go and configure this ITS, or issue traceability summary, as most of you would be aware, this is the ability to configure your data based on a list of issues, JQL, which is your Jira query language, or a set of filters that you've created already in Jira. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to use a JQL. Simply what I'm saying in here is that I, as a tester or a developer or a project manager, I would like to understand the testing for all the issues in this particular project, right? So you can get fancy with your JQL to return back a set of Jira issues, depending on the complexity and the simplicity of how you want to report and present your data. It's all up to you. But just for this demonstration, what I've said in here is that I want to know the test results for all the issues in this particular project, and hence I've got my JQL in here. I click on search, it returns this data. When I save that, now before I finish configuring this gadget, you will notice on the right there's a checkbox, and that's including child issues. Simply what that means is that if I want to include any testing that has been executed or completed against any child issues, as you all know in Jira, with a hierarchy, you've got different issues that can be grouped into various hierarchy. You've got your epics, you've got your stories, you've got your bugs, you've got your tasks, but then you've also got subtasks that you can create against your tasks in Jira. And basically, when you select include child issues, this is where you're saying to Vansah, well, I'm actually interested in any testing that's been performed at the subtasks. If that's not a requirement, simply just uncheck that checkbox and save. I'll come back to demonstrate what happens when you check it. But what I've done in here is that I've set up an ITS, or an issue traceability summary, that actually gave me a list of issues. There are 89 issues that's returned. It's telling me that I've executed 20 test cases, and also there are outstanding 223 test cases that needs to be completed. I'm sitting at 70% pass rate, and on the other side of the coin, it's 30% failure, right? Now, we talked about traceability, which is a big, important, one of the many important pillars in Vansah is traceability. you can see in here that there are 5 related issues that has been logged against this list of issues. Now that's important, and I want to focus on that because seeing teams operate on a day-to-day, you want to get to your information so quickly, so efficiently, and you want to share that with your peers, your teammates, but also executives that are really keen to understand what testing is all about. I find this particular gadget quite powerful to present and to relay that piece of information. And so obviously the subsequent action is to drill down to that list of 5 issues. And again, we've just gone from a gadget into the detail, and that's that whole traceability, the quick actions, that experience. And we talk about improving the experience in Vansah, and this is a typical example of improving your actions or your workflow or the way that you work with Jira and Vansah. And so I've just demonstrated in here how quickly you can get to those issues that are related as part of those list of issues. And here you can go and complete and fulfill your day-to-day interactions with your team, right? There are 5 issues, it's been assigned to this person, and then you go on to complete your actionable items, so to speak. But the point that I'm trying to demonstrate in here is that the ability to form your information, form your data using, in this case, an ITS gadget, which is an issue traceability summary, to understand the quality of your testing. So as you can see in here, if I scroll down here, you will see all the issues that's been brought back by Jira. Now, I did say that I'm going to go back and demonstrate what happens when I click on a child issues. So if I do and check that include child issues now, and I save that, the gadget will now return all the child issues, as you can see here on the bottom left. You've got a story TD1, and it has a child issue, which is TD73. This is very important to making sure that you're not leaving any issues unturned, so to speak. You want to make sure you want to be confident. You want to be able to report back to your stakeholders and to your teammates that you've covered every single story or issue that's been planned for your release. And so that's why I find this ITS being a really powerful piece of gadget or information to use. And we've just demonstrated the fact that we can drill down into your test data, right down to child tasks, which is basically your subtasks. Great. Hopefully you're still.
So Hala, as I could say, thanks for demonstrating that gadget. I believe the data you're using there doesn't seem to have a lot of coverage of test cases. So I could see that very quickly just by seeing the 8% there covered. So it's obviously the reason why all your test cases are a majority of those issues have 0 test cases, and it's sort of relevant. It's sort of reflective in the summary at the top saying 8% have covered. So you obviously need to look through which issues have test cases, and that obviously if you'd use an example where there were issues that majority were covered, you would see a lot of those percentages increase accordingly. Would I be correct in sort of what you've configured there?
Absolutely. Yeah. And just thanks Freddie for calling that out. You can also pinpoint a particular issue that you're interested in. So by just simply searching for that particular issue, whether it's by label or by ID, you can see that you can quickly get to that as soon as you enter that in. Beautiful. I think I have 2 more items to showcase this afternoon, and that'll give us plenty of time to ask any questions. The second last feature that I want to showcase is the ability to create test cases in foreign projects. So when we're using the terminology foreign, it just basically means that I'm in project A in Jira. I want to create a test case in project B. So project B is the foreign project. So let me just demonstrate that now. I'll do that by going into the actual Vansah board. I'll load that up. I'm going to select a particular folder to create the test case in. I'm going to go to regression, and I'm going to create a new test case. You will notice as well in Jira and Vansah that the key or the identifier for your test cases, they are prefixed with their originated project. So if you can see that if you create a test case in this project called team demo, it will inherit that prefix accordingly. And so that's how you would recognize quickly the origin of your test artifacts. So let me go and create a new test case in here. Just take note that we're in this project called team demo, and it's prefixed by the two letters TD. I'm going to create a new test case simply by just creating a test case from that add button. I will then say, I'd like to create a test case because as part of my discovery and my collaboration with my teammates, I've now realized that we need to create a test case in another project that is called the finance project. And the reason why you will do this is because, as I said at the top of the call, depending on how you structure your teams within your organization, you will find that you will have projects for different purposes and different reasons. You would find that you would have projects that will support technical implementations, projects that might be just appropriate for business teams to conduct their user acceptance testing. So you'll end up with all these different structures. Needless to say, in this particular demo, we're in test demo and we want to create a test case in the finance project, which is what we refer to as the foreign project. Simply just select finance project. You can see that I haven't moved out of this experience. I will come to author that particular test case. I will call the test case I want to verify. I want to verify that the general ledger run end of day has successfully completed. Okay, so that's my demo test case. As usual, I would say this is going to be a functional test case. So you can see I can quickly just select it from here. So at this point here, if I wanted to go straight into that test case and start editing the test steps and test scripts, I can do so by just selecting this checkbox. If I want to do that at a later point in time, not a problem. Just uncheck that and continue to work within your current project. So I'm going to create this now. You can see that we've just got a notification to say that a new test case has been created, and you will find that in your listing here. Now, depending on how you've structured your board, the test case will appear accordingly. So I find that the easiest way is I'm going to include a created date and created by attribute on my board, and I'm going to sort my created date accordingly. Okay, so as you can see in here, I'll do one more sort. So this is a descending sort. You can see that we've been just notified. And as you can see here, this is the test case that I've just created now. November 16th, it's been created by Hala. You can see in here, as I've indicated, that the test case, wherever it's been created, it will inherit the prefix for that particular project. So whilst we're in demo, team demo, as you can see on the top left here, it's prefixed this and it's created in FINC3, which is basically the foreign project that we created. And as you saw in the demonstration, it's in the finance project. So that's what we've done. The benefit of that, as I said, you're huddling with your team, you're working day in, day out. And as you discover we need to create additional tests to conduct at a later day or at a later phase, you have the ability to create your test artifacts on the fly as you wish. So you can create test cases in other projects, and that's fantastic. Now, as you may all be aware, regardless of whether we've created a test case that belongs to a foreign project, the beauty about this is that this test case, if I was to run this particular test case here in this project, let me just restore this so I don't have to move in and out. So let me run this FINC3 just to demonstrate a particular point, and I want to pass it. Actually, I want to fail it. All right, that's just a quick test. So now we know that in team demo, we've run this test and it's got a result of fail. Now, if we open up this particular test case, this will open up the test case in its origin project. Because we've created from team demo, as you can see, it's opened up the test case in its rightful place in finance. But if I go to the test runs menu in here, you can see in here, if I just quickly refresh that, you will see that this particular test case in here has been run in the other project, right? But if you look at this particular test case in here, you can also run that locally in the finance project. I'm going to stop there because I can talk for the next 4 hours on that. And I think I want to sort of pause our demonstration in there and allow everybody to ask questions at this time. Question number 2 from Rajesh again. If we could see information of quick test information in the test case view after it is executed instead of digging deep is appreciated. So let me just rephrase that. I think I had a tongue twister in there. If we could see information in the test case for a quick test, I suppose, Rajesh, if you're in the call, do you want to just elaborate on that? You'll be best positioned to explain that. Thanks, Rajesh. If you can turn your mic on.
Thank you, Hala. Actually, it was a part of one of the scenario where Fadi or either you may be demonstrating how to execute a foreign test case, and there was a quick execution step where I was seeing a quick test, and when we were navigating to that particular test case, and I mean the test run for that particular test case, I was just wondering if we had more information on that screen, like it was a foreign test case, not the local one.
Right. So you're saying this is a foreign test case that we've created, FINC3. It's in team demo, and we've executed this in here. So what you're saying is the ability to look at more information and view the test run from here. Is that what you're saying?
On the test runs tab, if we go to the test runs section of the particular test case.
Oh, yeah. Look, you've absolutely. I think I understand your questions. Under test runs tab, Hala, for the test case.
For the test case, so let's open that up. Yep.
Yeah, it's a very good point, because right now it's sort of under test runs. It shows that it's been executed for regression, but you can't tell that regression is from another project, a foreign project.
Exactly. That's the point.
Yeah, no, look, that's definitely coming through as part of the UX improvements of the next release, and it's definitely part of the necessity of, you do need to see that, right? And so now I understand that's what you were trying to explain. I'm glad that we asked you to speak, because I thought you meant something totally different.
Yeah, no, that's great question, Rajesh. So it's basically knowing from this view the origin project of that particular project or folder. That's great. Thanks, Rajesh.
So basically, some suggestions have been said about that. I'll just mention it quickly, is that it would actually have the project key as a prefix to that. So and what we're looking at doing is also showing the actual Jira project avatar and the name in front of that, right? So they're the key things. So yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Thanks, Fadi. Rajesh, good question. Have been informed, and we continue to participate in our community, ask the questions, ask for support where you need to. But it's been a pleasure for us to share 1.2.5 release to the team here and all the attendees. And we'll keep safe, and we'll see you shortly with the latest release coming shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.